live button. Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Michael Gibson. I am the creator of Norm Therapy. Also, I'm the CEO of Norm Therapy, Inc. Norm Therapy just isn't a one-off service for any platform. We're actually building right now with our investors around the world is a platform where Norm Therapy is being offered to everyone, from every nationality, every culture. If you have the internet, you'll be able to receive Norm Therapy. We have Norm therapists trained on every continent, and we're growing every day. We have a very stellar back office, stellar team of people, and it's just probably one of the most special things I've ever done in my entire life. Helping people and watching their progress all at the same time brings a sense of calm to your soul. Abuse victims, as I've always made clear, from narcissistic abuse to financial abuse to bullying to sexual abuse, there's always an element of fear. Fear dictates just about every abuse. If you find the underlying fear in any abuse and you work on converting that fear to courage or to using techniques that will actually help an individual become stronger, more decisive, reticent to bullying and narcissism. If we pay attention that once the fear is not removed but dealt with, oftentimes the abuse goes away. And there's a stigma associated with just about every kind of abuse in the world that's not so common in the mental health care. The stigma with abuse is basically that you're embarrassed that you were abused. You feel slighted. You feel under or even overwhelmed sometimes about the types of abuse you've had. Whereas in the mental health care area, there is another stigma of having been treated and having been put in a circumstance where you needed help out of a mental situation that probably caused you, or a mental health situation that probably caused you problems at your work. Because once you file these different claims, your employers see them and they always want to know what's going on. We'll talk more about that as time ensues, but there are two different types of stigma. One is personal to you and the other one is external. And we'll define that for you as we move along. But anyway, thanks again for joining us. To our audience, you can put your questions in at any time. I'll take them. But I'm going to ask, because tonight, for instance, Montez, he got a new job. You know, we have our session with him tonight. But in his new job, he's having to take training, so he's not going to be here tonight. So we have Bobby, his wife, who's going to take a session with us tonight, who she's happened to be here. So I'm going to ask Bobby to come in. We're going to discuss what happened with us the other night when we had all of them together. Hey, Bobby, how are you?
I'm well. I'm well.
Wonderful. I'm
A
glad to hear you. So tell
little
me,
chaotic, but I'm well.
okay, well, I'm glad to know. How cold is it where you are?
It's about 40 degrees.
That's cold enough. I don't like cold weather at all. So that's cold enough.
Yeah.
So tell me, Montez got a new job. And I like to, every time I think about him now, I call him Montezuma in my head. But Montez has a new job. And
Same
tell us,
company.
tell us about that.
So the case management part of it, they had to let him go because you can't obtain a CDCA while you're on probation. And
Okay.
so, you would have had to get in that within 120 days. So they could have kept him on for 4 months, but he would have got attached to clients and vice versa. And then it wouldn't have been probably the best outcome. So they let him go and it was just pending. They wanted to check Medicaid. They needed to check a whole lot of different stuff. They came back. I had reached out on LinkedIn to Dr. Rob and basically explained the situation. And they called him the next day for a driving position with the
Good,
same company. And
good
so
looking.
um, it would have been open for both of us, but that would have been a conflict of interest. So I I immediately step back because I'm still in school and that consumes a lot of my hours. But B, I don't have a problem getting a job. Like I can get a job wherever I want. It's always something that happens. Most recently, it's been a lot of background stuff. I have a lot of background issues going on that keeps me from keeping the job. But if I commit to
Yes,
something,
your past issues with prison and all of that
yeah,
comes up.
yeah,
I did a lot of research in that area, and it's a shame that a lot of states, once you've paid your debt to society, they still prohibit you from voting, from getting certain licensures, or a myriad of things that you would think that once your debt to society is paid, that those things would open back up. But I did some more research, and believe it or not, I talked to Montez about this. You know, he loves history. But the
yeah,
research I did, these are vestiges from the old times in slavery, during slavery, where when the 14th Amendment, of course, was ratified, so free the slaves and all of that. Then the 15th Amendment was about voting and a few other things. So between the 14th and 15th Amendment, it turned into, give me 1 second, I have to change my earpiece is about to go out. But between the 14th and 15th Amendment, the voting rights and the 3/5 of a person and all of that thing came out. And they wanted to disenfranchise the voters, the whole idea about what happens when you leave prison. And it just happened to be the majority of the people in those days were Black that were in prison. And the majority of people over the centuries have been Black per capita or per population have been Black. So it's always been detrimental to Black people. Once you get a criminal record, you lose the right to vote. So it was a tool used by mainstream America to keep Blacks from voting. And that's how it became a part of the normal system today. Not because there's any benefit in it. Taking your driver's license, that's no benefit to the ex-convict or the person who just left prison. There's no benefit whatsoever. Or, I mean, I think there's some reform needed, a great deal of reform needed in that area. But also I can see why they would like to keep some people from having a driver's license, depending upon the crime or depending upon the infractions in the state. Who knows? But I did a lot of research on it, and I'm really I'm taken aback that for any reason, if you get a felony on your record, whether you committed it or not, whether you're innocent or guilty, you are prohibited from voting. You're prohibited from so many other things. It's kind of a shame. Our country, I don't think any other country in the world operates this way. I really don't. Once you're a citizen, you're a citizen. Your vote should count no matter what your status. That's
Now, I
just
do know in Ohio, once you have paid your debt and you're off, they do restore your voting privileges. Wisconsin does not.
right.
Like,
Now, that's why I started off by saying that in most states, it's this
yeah,
way. Not
yeah,
all. Ohio is one of those exceptional states. It really is. Um, but it's a shame. It leaves everybody with the ability to quickly go back into the prison system, just because there's no options for you without a car. There are no options for you if you can't get your licensures or your anything that you've trained for prior back. There's just no options for you. So anyway, I can go on and on about that, but that really kind of broke my heart.
yeah.
Okay, so tell me, how have you been doing? How's school going?
It's going good. I get on there 5 day. I mean, it gets exhausting there because it's 3 back-to-back days. But I do it and I go down there and I do my practicum and I engage with people and I do what I love. So it's really not like I'm working or at a practicum or even at school. It's what I would do. Now I just want to start going places and kind of gathering information and gathering my own resource stuff because
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff that I wasn't aware of. And I have a really good peer supporter myself who pours into me resource after resource after resource. So, once I get in a position like there's probably not going to be any resource around here, I'm going to Safer Station, First Step Friday. I'm going to every place that I can think of to get resources because eventually I'm going to have a position where I'm paid to just help people find resources. Just come in and sit at my desk. Let's look it up. Where is it? Let me look in my book.
What do you think that'll be?
Huh?
Where is this position that you're creating? What organization do you think can help Have you ever thought about doing it on your own?
No, I really haven't ever thought about doing it on my own. I don't even know what I would call it.
Uh,
Resourcefulness.
you know what? I would call it unlimited resources or something like that. Because what you've done is you have gone through the gamut and all of the different types of wins and losses. You have been there. I would sit down with me in another session and I'll help you get all that. I'll help you build your plan. I think you should try it. I think you should, instead of looking for a job, look for a contract. Go out there and see if you can contract your services to these organizations so you don't have to be in the Medicaid and these other areas. And then tell them this is what you can do and this will be your fee for it. And you can go out and contract 6 or 7 organizations and get fees from each one of them instead of just a job with one.
Yeah,
You're
because
very
I
entrepreneurial anyway. I'm sorry.
part of DRC policy right now in the state of Ohio is I created an 88 county-wide for women coming out of incarceration for housing, food, clothes, transportation, insurance. And so the last 90 days of your stay, statewide, including the men now, it's part of policy to be able to have access to like Ohio Job Means First, where you can start looking for employment. So, if I can dig around without an internet, simply stamps and word of mouth, and do that for 88 counties in the state of Ohio while incarcerated, imagine what I can do with technology.
I've already mentioned that's why I'm suggesting that we help you.
And
I can
I
definitely
never
help you. I
thought of
will
it.
do that. Don't worry about it. I'll help you get it set up and show you what I think I would do if I were you. But we can talk about that another time, just you and I. I
Yeah.
would love to sit down with you and pick your brain, and then you create something that, there's a livelihood behind it. Contracting is probably the biggest business, entrepreneurial business on the planet. Once you get a contract with an organization and it's working, you can take that very same contract and you can actually promote it to other organizations of look here, look at what I'm doing. And that could come out to be really strong for you. I do believe that. But I'll help you set that up if you like. No
Yeah,
problem.
I sure
You
would.
probably already know how, but just in case there's some missing components and you haven't been there yet, I'd be more than happy. Okay, let's go on to something else. How's your
Okay.
relationship with everybody in the household with you now? What's going on?
So far so good. I mean, as everybody's, like I said, on a different schedule, kind of, they're picking up after themselves, which is the biggest thing, when you have animals and when you have people in an environment, naturally there's going to be, dirt on the floor. Thank God I got this floating kind of floor or that top, sweep it up, mop it, but
Right.
it gets done multiple times a day. And just one of the rules of thumbs that we put in place was at night when you go to bed, make sure there's no dirty dishes in the sink, that the floors are mopped and swept. And then, when you wake up to a clean home. It makes you feel better when you wake up to a clean home.
It really does.
Contrary to what your sleeping area looks like, we're just worried about the basics, the bathroom, the living room, the kitchen, the dining. Other than that, I don't have a problem
So you
with
have
any.
peace of mind, so to speak, when it
I
comes
do.
to.
I do. I do. I don't worry as much as, and I hate to say it, but I'm gonna, with my daughter and her little ones, like I'm not a babysitter. Okay. I don't think that I was ever cut out to have kids. I had kids for the wrong reason. I was proving my love to someone. Um, Probably wouldn't have had any had I known now or knew then what I know now. But I love all my children regardless, and I will help them to an extent. I can't sabotage myself or my life or my livelihood or my marriage in exchange for a hand up. I'm not going to do that anymore. And I've made that very clear this time.
And I think that's a good, but I also think that I think sometimes we as parents,
Yeah.
we look at our role rather even myopically. We just put on our tunnel vision and we go like that. I think children, no matter the age, if they're grown or if they're kids, I think they always have a sense of that's my mom, that's my dad. And they always are thinking, what can I get away with? What can I get away with? What can I get? What can I get? They're always thinking who will support me, who will not, who will understand me, who will not. And their love for you is almost always unconditional.
Yeah.
Where parents to children is always conditional. If you get good grades, if you do this, and if you keep your room clean, I'll do this, I'll do that. If you don't want me to babysit, conditions. I don't think that I'm a babysitter either. But I would make a sacrifice if my daughter had a child and said, can you, while in lieu of or in place of or when I am, yeah, I think I would. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that.
And for such amount of time.
Exactly.
Until I get
put
something
parameters on it.
Right.
You got to define the parameters in which we'll operate. I think that's good, because you're a very absolute person. When you say I'm not going to do something, it's like that axe coming down and go, the head's cut off. Let's go next chicken. It's that kind of thing, But I really think that you are much stronger than most people, women or men, and very resilient. You always find a way, no matter what it is. People see that in you, especially your kids. Even as adults, they see that and they wish they had it. Maybe they do, but I'm thinking not, because if they did, they wouldn't be coming to you like they are now. But they see that in you, that spark, that drive that gets it done. It's a simple gesture in their head saying, can you, will you please? I'm going to be on Thursday, such and such place. Can you? It's a simple stretch for them to get there because you are reliable. You are serious. You are the definite kind of person you want looking after something, especially your child. So you may want to look at it from that point of view as well before you say no. Because sometimes, they will need you. And I'm not trying to admonish you or show punishment, but I was the same way. I'm not doing it. Before I had kids, I would never do that. I'm not taking a kid in. I'm not changing a diaper. And I was proud to say I wouldn't do it. When my children were born, I changed every diaper out. I swapped the snot out of their noses. I cleaned their legs and feet and bathed them. And I was happy to do it. I don't think I was ever more happy in my life to just sit with my kids and watch them be a baby or watch them be a kid and talk to them and see them grow and progress right before my eyes. That was probably the happiest time of my life. And you're talking to a guy who literally, in my life, I don't think I've ever been happy. Literally, I had to make myself happy and concentrate on me to be happy. But when I saw my kids for the first time, each one of them, in whatever state they were in, I was the happiest human being on the planet. Couldn't get happier.
Yeah.
So we take away our own happiness. Go ahead.
Yeah, I missed a lot. I missed a lot of things. First step, first teeth, first birthdays, because I was locked up. And so, I try to enjoy the firsts that I've had with my youngest two grandbabies. I really don't have a relationship developed with some of the older ones. It's just, since I've been around here lately that I've been able to be a positive influence in anyone's life, let alone my own family's.
No, that's a great observation, Bobby. You're right, 100%. The only reason I'm telling you about my kids and me is because where you lacked in access to them during those first this and first that and first the other, this is what it's supposed to look like where you didn't have that. So I wanted to kind of give you something to bounce off of. And why? Because that lost time you'll never get back. We all know that. That's how life works. But those events and that quality time you can schedule for, even if their progress is from, I got a learner's permit to a driver's license, even if it's that progress, instead of, look, mommy, I can eat by myself, eat whatever progress, kids, no matter what age, needs that reinforcement from you.
That affirmation and affection.
Absolutely.
I'm working on the affection part. My oldest daughter will let you know, like, and so in it, we were talking about it the other day, and she's like, Mom, like, I'm learning how to be a mom. Like, I want to take my 16-year-old daughter out and just let her swing at the park and be a kid, that things that she missed, um, So it's definitely like generational, and I'm trying to break the cycle as I give more hugs and give more positive reinforcement and give more kisses and give more I'm proud of yous and give more, more positivity and uplifting and affection and
You're a
affirm that,
catalyst.
yeah, yeah.
You
I
are a
just,
catalyst. They see you make a change in you, and that affects them.
yeah,
The only way you can ever change anybody, Bobby, it doesn't matter who you're with, what their status in your life, husband, boss, this, it doesn't matter. The only
it's just,
way you can ever change, yeah, exactly, is change yourself. When you change you, they have no other choice but to change to accommodate you. No other choice. If they want to deal with you and be in your life and have to, understand you and be understood by you, they change as well. All change starts from within. Took me many years to learn that one, but I think I got that one now. That works for me very well in my life. And I see that it now works in yours. When your daughter said to you, I now am learning how to be a better mother, she's looking at your example. She's looking at what you came in without, you know, without a piece of paper, without any kind of, bank account, without any kind of asset. But you came in and you put together an environment where you all are together now. By one way or the other, you're all communicating and you're all bettering your lives. You did that. You started that spark. Then you got a man who wanted to learn how to do the same thing you were doing, and now he's doing that, and he's promoting and helping and supporting you as well in that. You're gonna have your ups and downs, so that's that. But at least when you back up again, you're doing the right things, and when you go down, you'll do the right things to get back up. That's just how life works. It doesn't work any other kind of way. Okay, so the kids okay. You're saying your daughter. This is the daughter with two kids that we're talking about, right?
nope, she just has the one.
Okay, one kid. And your other
Yep,
one has five kids, if I remember correctly.
yeah, yep,
Okay. And
yeah.
how is
This
she?
is my 30-year-old, and and my granddaughter's 16. And
Okay.
then Jasmine, she's staying now. She keeps in contact with my daughter Whitney, but limited contact with me. Like she sent me a text the other day, like, "Hey, you been going tanning?" Like just to keep a conversation going. But
Mhm.
she's still very distant, but that's okay because I still text her and tell her I love her, or send her the heart, or whatever. I still keep doing it. I still keep doing it.
As long as you're
And
doing the right thing, that's all that matters.
yeah,
Really. Affecting change is difficult sometimes and sometimes impossible, but you're doing the right thing. You're being a mom as best you can, even from a distance. That's all that matters for right now. But also, every now and then, an impromptu visit may help.
well,
Every
I
now.
don't know where she is.
Okay, well then that's not good.
So I don't want Whitney doesn't want to. It's not that Whitney wouldn't tell me. I don't want to break her trust with my daughter Jasmine.
You
I
don't
feel
want to
like,
impose on them.
yeah, when Jasmine wants me to know, she'll tell me. You know,
Has it always been that way?
yeah, because they haven't always been the closest,
Okay.
and they've had a lot of feuds. I've had to really watch, like if I get one a gift, what the other one looks like for the other one. Like there's been a lot of rivalry there, and I can remember several times in my life when I wasn't doing right, and Whitney used to take ass whoopings for Jasmine, and so I haven't always been easy go lucky, easy go nothing. Everything I got in life was hard, and sometimes I made it a little too hard for my children too.
So you said Whitney used to take ass whoopings for Jasmine. So when
Yeah.
Jasmine did something wrong, Whitney would step up and say, "It was me." Is what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. Or if I was whooping Jasmine, she would get right in the way. So, that I
Right.
would focus on her. She would intervene. So, and
You've
I
always
can
been her
remember
protector.
several times. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, um, back in the day, we did that a lot. I know I got beat every day. I know how that. I know exactly how that goes. Um, do corporal punishment or does beating happen a lot in the family?
No, no.
Okay.
It did. I feel like it did for me in a whole nother realm. Um, just because I was young and I didn't really know that I was doing wrong. Or in other words, right, I was getting, whooped regardless.
Well,
So, that's why I said that's where this face comes from. You never let them see you cry. You never let them see you sweat. You never let them see this. So if I have a face that you can't read all the time, then this doesn't get me in trouble.
oh yeah.
Until now, when I'm married and my husband thinks I'm cold hearted, really I'm not. And so that really is playing a big part in our
Well, you've been
relationship.
conditioned, Bobby. You've been conditioned to be that way. You've been conditioned to do this through what you thought you knew was right. Whether it was right or wrong is irrelevant. At the
Yeah,
time,
I just, will there ever be a time when I'm reconditioned to be more savvy, so to speak, to affectionately,
all
um
problems.
yeah, because like for instance, my husband's family is 3 hours away, and he misses his family. He calls his dad, he misses his family, and I know he does. um, when you're working and you have only so limited days off, like the last time I said, "Hey, where you want to go?" He said this. I said, "You could have went home then." What we did, and we went left in a snowstorm and had a big hell of a time. But
Mhm.
uh, when he tells me that he misses home, you know, I know your family's important to you, and I'm sorry that things are the way that they are. When we have days off together, maybe we can drive down. It's 3 hours down. The other day we were going to do it. By the time he got done doing what he needed to do, it was by the time we got there, it would have been dark. So he said, "Eff it, it's going to be dark, and we're going to have enough time." And so, I don't know how to respond to that without A, creating an argument, or B, he says that I'm fake about it. I'm not fake about it. I would do anything for you to see your dad, or to see your sisters, or to
I believe
see
that.
your nieces. There's nothing that I wouldn't do. I said, but see, I'm a realistically speaking, it's a two-way street. And people pass by us, his family passes by us several times and don't stop. We have offered them to come and stay with us. We have offered them to come for the weekend. We'd come down and pick them up. We've offered and offered and offered. It's a two-way street. And
Oh,
I'm,
I
s-
agree.
he worries about his dad. His dad's getting up in age. And all I can do is embrace him and tell him that I love him and I'm sorry that we don't have the time, or we don't have the days off, or, he's like a last minute planner. Plan ahead. You
Mhm.
want to plan for Easter? So Easter, let's go. We're going to go to Indiana. I don't know what day Easter is, but it's coming up here soon. And so that I'm going to plan so that he can go see his family and we can have Easter dinner, go to church, whatever the custom is that they do.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'm going to ensure that we get there. So
Well, let me
whether
ask you
it's,
a question about that. Let me ask you,
Mhm.
sometimes you have some skills that I've noticed in you since I've known you. You have extremely valuable non-verbal skills. Sometimes you don't even have to talk. You just look at a person a certain way and they get where you're coming from. I would use that to my advantage with him. Sometimes talking can make any circumstance worse, especially when you're in support of someone. They may think he may say you're fake, and that's odd choice of word, but I understand where he's coming from. But I don't think that's accurate. What I think is more accurate is because you're responding, you give him a platform off of which to criticize or to, show his discomfort with what you're doing. I wouldn't give him that. My approach to that would be your wife. Since I've never been a wife, I really can't say what I would do if I were you, but I tell you what I would want my wife to do to me. Just come up to me and rub my shoulders, rub my chest, and tell me, stand behind me, rub my chest, tell me that I know you got a lot on your mind. If there's anything I can do, and let it be up to him what happens next, not you, because this is his dilemma. He has to deal with. It's his problem. It's his angst. It's his missing them. and not yours. Sometimes no words are much better than words. And you have that ability. You got a
Yeah.
real serious
And
look
I
on
and
you.
I've tried it. I've tried it that way too. And sometimes it's, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So I just try to kind of play it by whatever the case may be,
You
tread
just
tread lightly.
play it by ear. Play it by
Yeah.
ear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole play it by ear music does work if you're dancing a jig, but if you're not,
Yeah.
then it can really stall you out. I'm not a guru of any type when it comes to human behavior. That's not what but I do have a lot of experience and I do know a lot of people and I listen and observe extremely well. I talk a lot too, but I like to be able to say that when I do talk, I'm actually saying something that matters.
Yeah. You do.
And
You
and
do.
I want to just kind of, you got that in you. You don't just arbitrarily speak. You say things that matter to everyone around you. And you have this juggling or balancing act that you're always doing. Just say enough and just do enough, or do too much because it's warranted or it's required, but then come back off of it to give people opportunity to grow as a result. I've watched you do this with people, with your husband, with your family. Even if you say no, you always have that qualifier. You always have that issue, that one thing that may make you say yes or make you look at it differently. Just like when you used to talk about your daughter with the kids that you normally don't, it was normally like there was zero communication, but you've made a way through respect of Courtney for your other daughter, Jasmine, to stay off, but let them still know that you're in the background. You're still there for them. You get their text. You still are in communication even if it's the minimalist communication, you're there. You did all that without saying much, didn't you?
Yeah.
Why not use those same techniques on your husband and the people around you? Sometimes saying anything, especially in support of something, when a person feels slighted or they feel lonely or they feel like they miss their family, and yet you have all your family around you, they're coming in and out, they're causing you problems all the time, and you're dealing with it, and then some of them cause you happiness, and you have that constant barrage of family and relationship, and he doesn't. He's going to blame you for everything because that's just his plain old human envy. You sit back and look at her. She got a daughter here, her sons, and da 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 da. Da. You get it?
But what I told him, what I told him is, because we had very deep, long conversations before we got married because I cannot have any more kids.
I understand.
And I told him, if that's something that you want, I'm probably not your wife. And so, I mean, it was weeks of conversation.
I
And
understand.
so then when we made the decision to get married, um, I said, the family that I have is yours now, so this is what I got to offer. And it's just us. It's not like I have a mom or a dad or a grandma or a grandpa. I don't have any extended family that come to me, in a positive manner. What I have is my children around me, and two of them is off in California.
Okay, I
So
understand. Let me ask you a question. I want to go back to another point. I don't want to,
yeah,
you're
go
not
ahead.
doing anything wrong if you ask me. You're not doing, but what could be infused or injected into the relationship between you and Montez family that refuse to stop by, even if they're passing by? Um, what's missing there? What do you think can be added to that to make it whereas they want to stop by or they want to be a part?
All I can do is do it on my part and get him there.
I know, but what do you think is missing in that relationship? Do they not know you well enough?
Yo,
Uh,
they know. I mean, I've stayed at his dad's house. Like that's where we go and that's where we stay. I've met his sisters. I've stayed at her house. We've had holidays down there. We've invited them for holidays up here. I just don't know. Um, I don't know what that missing piece is. All I know is what I can do to help him connect and get there to see them,
Do
you
you
know.
think that his family is a sensitive subject, and I think that it needs to be had. But do you think his family's kind of standoffish because you're white?
I've never got that feeling.
Okay, because of the kids, because of the relation, but it had to be asked. So if that's not it, if you've never gotten that feeling, and you would know that feeling when you got it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah, because when I was with my youngest two children's father, like I would sit out in the car. I felt it. I
Okay,
felt it, and they said it. But
okay.
no, they've welcomed me with open arms. His sister calls me sister, and like it's never it. I don't think it's anything to do with the color or anything like that. I think it's just to do with because he's been gone for so long that nobody really has a relationship developed with him that's strong enough in a bond that,
They're compelled to just make sure they're a part of the
yeah,
whole
I mean,
equation.
and it's sad. And I hate to even say that out of my mouth, but I don't think that, not that they don't care, but they don't care enough to continue to nurture the relationship from a distance.
Okay. And so Montez finds himself doing a lot of the work to stay in contact.
And loyal to a fault, and would lose his life behind that. You
Yeah,
know,
I can
if
see
one
that.
of his distant cousins, aunts, baby mamas called on him, he would go risk his life for something that's not even a problem to him in his life. And
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 that's
that's
that's pretty admirable, but at the same time dangerous. But
yeah.
it's admirable but dangerous because you can only give of yourself enough to whereas you don't deplete yourself.
Yeah. And he depletes himself every time. He does it. If I wasn't good with structure and money management around the house with what little bit we do get, we would be in a shipwreck, because he's one of the kinds, if I see it, I like it, I'm going to buy it. Well, guess what? If I see it, I like it, and I can't afford it, I'm not going to buy it. Neither are you. So
Well,
I'm
let's
that.
let's let's applaud your efforts then.
Yeah. But he would do it to a stranger. I remember when I was a property manager and he was the groundsman. His love for people, his concern for the homeless, his humanitarian side that loves to see people thrive. If he only made $200 for the day, he would go spend 150 of it getting homeless men out to come and learn a trade. Maybe it was just mowing grass or trimming hedges. And then so he would only make $50 for the day. And then he would have these people helping him get the job done. So his love for people is that great,
Well,
you know.
I'm
And
glad to
so,
hear that. I'm glad to hear that. That can be developed, but he just have to have
yeah,
structure behind it. The same kind of
yeah.
structure you have in your household. He didn't have
And
that
so
that
that's
effort.
why I tried, I always try to give him that platform, because when some of the arguments that have ensued is he's like, I'm a boss too. Well, I never said that you wasn't. And I've always wanted you to have your own and do whatever it is that you love to do. What I do it naturally. And it's just part of my leadership abilities. And I have the ability to lead people the wrong way or the right way. And it's just,
Organically, organically. You're
yeah.
or yeah, you're
And
organic
so
style.
whatever it is I do, I'm good at what I do. I'm good at building camaraderie. I'm built at team building. Like when I first got out and went through all these employment things, and we was up in Cleveland, like I won the team builder award, first impression award, like I won all the awards. And I have used those throughout my life. Like I remember those. One day I'm going to dig out all of my certificates and put them in a book, because I have never taken them seriously. Like that meant something to somebody that they made an award for me.
Yeah.
They took the time to do that because they thought I was important when I didn't think I was.
Well, providing commendation should never be perfunctory or something we just do because everybody gets a trophy. You know, perfunctory behavior in anything you do in life is useless.
Yeah.
But there's a functional reason why people believe in you, Bobby, because you exude power, you exude leadership, you exude friendship, you exude affability, you exude these things, and they can't help but, be impressed by it or, succumbing to it and smelling the aroma of success when they're around you. Even though you've had a tragic life in a lot of ways, you've been very successful. And I don't think that you've not used your certificates at all. The whole reason you're sitting here right now and you are doing the things you're doing right now is because those certificates were earned by you and you just chalked up whatever experience as viscerally as you possibly could and made it a part of who you were. So you don't have to keep looking back at that certificate to remind you of what it
Yeah.
was. Even though you oftentimes say that. You oftentimes say, well, I remember this quote. I don't remember every day before we started a session, we said this and we said, you are living it. I do believe.
Yeah.
Do you agree with
I
that?
just want to be better, you know?
That's all that matters. That's what
That's
matters.
that's it.
And
And
even if
and
you just want to be status quo one day, I just want to be okay for the day. That's it. I don't want anything better, anything worse. That's okay too. Because sometimes we need to back up and regroup to move forward. Sometimes we need to just stop and what does God say? Be still, my child. Sometimes we need to do that for a minute before we do the next thing. And I think you're good at that. I really am proud of you when I see you do these things. One day you're devastated, next day you're back on top because you found something new to redirect your attention and your efforts. Double down on good things that happen in your life. That's not a bad thing to be able to say.
yeah.
Montez, I think he admires you. I think he respects you to, familiarity in a marriage. Come on now. When you're familiar with someone in a marriage, you think you can say and get away with anything you want with that person. It's human nature. It's not because he's bad or you're bad or he's good and you're good. It's because it's just human nature. When you're so familiar, you know what you can get away with, you know what you can push to the limit, and you oftentimes do it. But I think he respects you to a great extent. Not fully, as he should, because I've listened to some of the things he said about women, and I just won't do this and I just won't do that. And if you don't do those kinds of things, it's very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. But there's a learning curve with him. Once he gets it and he sees how it fits, he embraces it. He makes it a part of, his conversation, his vernacular now. He makes it a part of his effort. Like when he was, feeling kind of down the other day when he lost his job. You know how normal that is? There's nothing abnormal at all about a person feeling like a piece of crap when he loses a job, especially something he's training for, his long life desire to have, he's respected. People depend on him. He depend on them. He's creating that camaraderie and team building and rapport with everybody. And then to be ousted. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that he bumped into a tree. He want to knock the tree down.
Yeah.
I do. And that's normal. And sometimes you can't say a word, Bobby. Can't say a word, not one single word to that person, because that person would, if they're not hitting the tree, they're going to try and hit you. I don't mean physically, but mentally, they're going to try and hit you with their problem instead of, because you're the closest thing around them, have that familiarity. So the minute you open
Yeah.
your
Well, he did. He
mouth,
tried. He said, he was trying to live my dream, and that wasn't his dream. But
because he
I just,
failed, because he thinks he failed at it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
get it
So
whenever, exactly. Go ahead.
feed into it, I just still tried to comfort him and said, hey, baby, listen, if you're in Columbus and you want a job, you're going to have one. Now you have all the pieces. See, that birth certificate was holding him up. Now you got your birth certificate, you got your social security card, and not only do you have an ID, but you got a driver's license. You can drive for Amazon. Your driving record is perfect. You have nothing on it, you know, like there's goodness to come out of that.
Tell
Thank
him to
you.
keep his license. Stop doing 100 miles an hour across the city. Stop that. Stop this. He needs to keep that license. But
Yeah.
yeah, but you're doing the right things. But it just takes, as you said, and we've discussed this before, and even in norm therapy, and that is that for every one negative thought you have to think of 5 positive thoughts just to counter the one. That's been scientifically proven. So you're inundating him with positivity over his negative circumstance or issue. There's no other way to combat it. If you just become complacent in your response and content with the fact that you don't want to have any input, then he's going to fail miserably. But so long as I think he has your support, I think he's going to continue to make better decisions. Will he make them all the time? Remains to be seen. But most of the time, he'll put his foot forward and try to make the best decision. I do believe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now,
He's not a lazy man. I can say that. He will get out and wash a car, he will find a legitimate, he'll always say, I don't want to go back to this or that or that. That's so far back in his past. When he says it, I don't even know what he's comparing it to, because I've only known him to do the right thing.
good,
That's all I've ever known of him,
good.
you know. So I'm
Um,
proud of him, and I'm proud of how far he's come. And it's just the little things that count today. Like my little, oh, you can't see it because my things
no
blur, but
blur.
I keep little pictures and my Valentine cards, and just little things like that I keep around my mirror to remind me of his goodness. That's my little collage or my
Those
mirror.
snapshots of those great moments that you're trying to
Yeah,
keep alive.
yeah,
That's what life is built up of. There's a bunch of good moments that are not continuous. They're contiguous good moments. That's what life is all about. But we do have bad times too.
yeah.
And, but I think you guys have decided that better times are more healthy than, the undetermined or the bad times. Because sometimes you guys make decisions, well, he did in this past, he made decisions kind of impulsively, and it's caused him to lose parts of his life. You did too. You don't want that for your kids, do you? Your grandkids, especially not. And I think the dysfunctionality that you're experiencing with, or the dysfunctional relationship that you're experiencing with one of your daughters, Jasmine, I think it comes from the fact, like you just said, that since you weren't there and she knew you were incarcerated, she knew these other things were going on, that she has no respect for you. If she does, it's very little. Now, I can go into blame gaming, but I won't, because it's really not your fault. It's your fault once you learn to do better and you didn't. And you went
Yeah.
back in and you went to do the same things over and over. Yes, those times, your fault affected her greatly to this very day. But now that you're doing the right thing and that olive branch is out there, and you're making great strides, and you're very purposeful in your relationships, very purposeful. She has to see it. And that surprise visit we were talking about earlier, maybe not the way, but since you have a conduit to her sister Courtney, you need to,
Whitney.
Whitney, forgive me. Did I say Courtney? I got another Courtney on my brain. Whitney, forgive me, and her sister Whitney. If that's your conduit, use it.
Yeah.
Use, and you need to say 5 or 10 positive things to Whitney that she will definitely convey to Jasmine, with, of course, all sincerity and respect, of course. But I'm
as,
just,
as as well as do, you
yeah.
know and because when she asked me, like, hey, have you been going tanning? I said, yeah, I've been going tanning, and I also been looking forward to going to the Y with you. Because when she was here, she got a Y membership, and you
Mhm.
can take like one adult and then so many kids or whatever. And we were supposed to go, and then all of that happened. So I just put in there when she, sent the text. My response was, yeah, I've been going to 10, not as much as I'd like, but I've been looking forward to going to that Y with you, So I keep, poking, and maybe one day she'll say, hey, mom, why don't you come to the Y with us after church? Or, you know, that's my
I have to,
hopes.
I have to take, since we're 10 minutes to the hour, I normally like to take the last 10 or 15 minutes and take in questions. There's a couple of questions here I'd like to ask you. Are you willing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. As a couple, have you and Montez talked about your preferred way of being appreciated by one another?
Actually, no. And I think that's a good question.
So
I
if
think
you
that,
had to show him appreciation, do you
yeah.
have an idea of what you would do to show him
Well, I
appreciation?
know that he likes home cooked meals. So, I mean, I always, I was on the ball with that when I wasn't working and he was. So I
Right.
was definitely doing that. Running his bath water, making sure he's got Epsom salts in there, making sure he sets a little crate up and watches, YouTube or whatever he watches in there while he sits and relaxes. Like I set that up for him. And, um,
Do you know how
just,
you want to be appreciated?
yeah, yeah.
Tell me,
But,
tell us, how do you want to be appreciated?
um, just a hug and a smile goes a long way with me.
Have you
Baby, I
articulated
love
that?
you. I'm proud of you. Telling me that goes a long way with me. See, I'm a shower and a fixer. Maybe my showing and fixing ain't his way. Maybe I need to tell him, you
Yes.
know,
Maybe you need to articulate that, put it in words, becomes a part
yeah,
of the conversation of how do we appreciate one another. I really like that statement because most times when relationships fail, is it's not because they don't love one another. That's hardly ever the reason why a relationship failed. Every now and then, I didn't love him anymore. I didn't love her anymore. Very now and then. But most of the time, it's because they don't respect one another and they don't consider each other. They become so complacent with their disdain or dislike for whatever they have a problem with that they forget that they're dealing with a human being. And the humanitarian side of them never really come out. So when it comes to the relationship. But I think that telling him what you need, whether it's affection, whether it's a sense of commonality, some people just need to know that they're getting along. And we like the same things, we
I'm going
do
to
the
write
same.
that down because I'm going to take care of that and figure it out.
Exactly. And then let him voice what he wants is appreciation. And the one thing you can't do when you screwed up, not you particularly, but any human being on the planet screw up. When you screw up, it's hard for you to ever blame yourself until you do. And when you do, when you finally blame yourself, you are so hard on yourself that you never really get healthy behind being so hard on yourself. And what he did with his family by being absent most of his life and now trying to make up for it by being Johnny on the spot for everything to a fault is not healthy. But what is healthy is if you guys make a bigger effort to let them know how to appreciate you as well. Remember, you teach people how to treat you. Get down there, tell them that we want to spend more time. We want to love you more. We want to see you in our house. We want to break bread with you up here. It hurts us not to even have you stop by when you're passing by. That hurts.
I've
And
said that. I've said that. And it created an argument
with whom? With
with
Montez or
yeah.
them?
Well, I told his family, when he had to do that time for the interstate compact stuff, I
Mhm.
told him, I said, he needs you right now. Even a letter to just say, let him know you're thinking about him, or, because after all that time and then, him going and trying to find his mom and, going back home, his hometown of Indiana, it was a challenge for him because people weren't little kids that he grew up with. They were grown adults with families, you know, and so he had begun to mend broken relationships and kind of catch up to speed. Um, and so when he did that interstate compact, he was gone about maybe 4 months. I told him, I said, he needs you guys right now, not in a monetary way because I had his back, but
Mhm.
in a way that lets him know, hey, uh, accept this phone call because it's free. I put money on his phone, or send him a letter. I'll send you some stamped envelopes
And
just to
they
let it.
didn't do.
And it didn't. It created chaos. Like I was saying, they weren't good enough. That
I
was
know
what it relayed to them. Is like,
because you're
they
in
didn't.
such support of him. There is an answer for that, Bobby. Whether you're doing right or not, sometimes in the face of other people, it doesn't matter because their experience is different than yours. You've been a struggler with your husband to be better. And you've been in support of him. He's been in support of you to the greatest extent that you possibly could, both of you. But in their eyes, they see a guy who's been to prison, who's going back to prison, who's in prison now. We didn't believe in him and all the other times he said he'd be okay. And we don't believe in him now, is what they're saying by not moving in that direction in the way you want. So all you can do is look at it from their perspective. I don't know them. I'm not trying to take up for them, but I understand where they're coming from. They're like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, he's most of his life been away from all of us. We love him, but we don't know him. And then now he's in an interstate compact deal. And he wants me to call him, make him feel better. Why? It's just throwing good after bad in their head. Not that that's the truth.
I get it.
Not that that's the truth, but that's what it seems like. And your past history and record says that chances are this is the outcome. So what you have to do sometimes with people is just keep on pushing and pushing and pushing until they start pushing with you instead of against you. And you guys, I think, are doing the right thing. And I think that argument you had with them, that it became an issue of you think they're better, that was a necessary argument to have. It was very necessary because you put the issue on the table. They took it the wrong way, but the issue is now on the table, and it will always be on the table forever, that when we're down, we need to support one another. When we're up, we need to do the same. You're saying that to them is what you're truly trying to say, because he does need them. No matter what, he will always need his family. And it's a good thing that he wants them and need them at the same time. That's a very good thing. But he has you, and you are family too now. So that mosaic that you guys created as a family, which is loosely fit right now, is going to continually need you and Montez to reach out to them. They've been slighted by his activity. And then he's with a woman who has kind of a similar background. So they think it's easy for him to fall backwards. Let's just call it what it is. They don't know Bobby like I know Bobby, or like Montez know Bobby, or like the people you help and you work with and you nurture. They don't know you like that. They don't. Even if they call you sister, they don't know you like that. They need to see that Bobby. They need to see that Montez instead of the one that's putting on fake airs like, hey, whatever I need to do, I'll be there. Not that he's fake, but he's just doing whatever he thinks he needs to do in order to get back in their good graces.
Yeah.
That's not healthy. Let's structure something and I'll help you work on that. But I think that there's another way to look at this. And I think you guys, by having that argument, was the best thing you ever had, because it put square on the table what's at stake, what we all can gain from it. Let's just change the dialogue now. Let's create a new conversation, a new vernacular around it. And I think that you guys will do well. We'll work on that, I promise. Anyway, I have to say goodbye to everybody here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to do this. I want to say, are you okay though, Bobby, right now? Are you okay? Okay.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking on how the conversation is going to go tonight when we talk about how do we want to show appreciation for each other.
Like, it don't have to be stuff. It doesn't have to be
whoever
stuff.
asked that question, my heart goes out because that was a great one.
It doesn't have to be stuff. Let's make sure that's clear. It don't have to be stuff.
No, it could be words.
Yeah, words and hugs and little touches and bath water, extra salt this time, whatever. Yeah, and a card on your mirror, when he knows you're gonna look at that mirror tomorrow, put something else up there.
Yeah. Post-it notes or I got it. I just want to know out of his mouth. That way there's no, miscommunication. I got something to kind of bounce back off of. So.
Well, it's reciprocal, so it goes both ways. So anyway, I'll just say quickly, if you've enjoyed and got something out of today's session, please show your support by sharing this video, subscribing to our channel, and liking it. Of course, making comments always work. Our next Norm Therapy session is with, of course, Bobby and Montez this Sunday, March 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please go to goarrow.org, that's GOARO.org, and normtherapy.com to explore our opportunities and seek help for yourself or someone in need of our services. If you're interested in applying to participate in our live stream as a victim or survivor, email us at contact@normtherapy.com. And if you're looking to become a norm therapist, look on that same website, normtherapy.com, and fill out the application, and we'll definitely take a look at it and see if you qualify. Thank you very much for joining us today. Bobby, it's always good to talk to you. We're at the end of our
Always.
segment. I found this segment very interesting, and I look forward to our next one on Sunday with you and Montez. And let them know I'm really happy with what I'm seeing so far. And we'll talk more about that soon. Okay.
Okay. Good day. All right. Take care.
Come on. You too.